Hello everybody, welcome to Chapter 4. We're going to be starting, we're looking at the roots and powers, the name of the chapter. There we are, roots and powers. So we're going to look at 4.1 to begin the chapter. It's just an estimating exercise on estimating roots for Chapter 4. So we're going to explore decimal representations of the different roots of numbers. So you can look here at making the connections. We all know that 3 squared is equal to 9, so 3 is the square root of 9. So we write 3 is equal to the square root of 9. You guys are aware of that. You've seen that before. And then we're going to look at something that might be a little new. It's the cube root. So since 3 cubed is equal to 27, 3 is the cube root of 27. So we can write 3 as the cube root of 27. So that little number there represents the cube root, and that's called an index. And then the radicand is the number that you're taking, and then the whole thing as a whole is a radical. We also look at the next one. It's called the fourth root. So since 3 raised to the power of 4 is equal to 81, 3 is a fourth root of 81. So we write 3 as equal to the fourth root of 81. Okay? So how would you write 5 as a square root? Well, we know that since 5 squared is equal to 25, 5 is a square root of 25. So we can represent that as 5 equal to the square root of 25. That's how we show that. Okay? What about a cube root? I'm going to steal all this again. So 5 cubed is equal to 125. So 5 is the cube root of 125. So we can say that 5 is equal to the cube root of 125. That's how we represent that as what's called a radical. Okay? And the fourth root, we'll do the same thing again. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to steal this. So 5 to the power of 4 is 625. So 5 is the fourth root of 625. So we'll change our index to 4. Multiply that by 5. So 5 can also be represented as the fourth root of 625. Okay? So I'll show you how to put those into your calculator as well, just so we have a handle on that. But remember, the index is the little number. You'll notice that there's not a 2 on the square root. It's just said to be there. It's implied. The radicand, sorry, is the number being you're taking the root of, so the root, cube root, square root, fourth root, whatever the case, and the whole thing is called the radical. Okay? So let's look at this chart. So the square root of 6 we know is 4. Okay? Is that an exact value or an approximate? We know that it would be considered an exact value. So an approximate would be a decimal, such as you're going to see now the square root of 27. So we go to our calculator. We take the square root of 27. So I'll bring the calculator up as well. So in this exercise, we'll take the square root. So second function, square root 27. And we get 5.196 and so on. So we write that as 5.196 and so on. So we just put the little dot saying the number is continuous, right? So it's an approximate, right? Is that an approximate value? Obviously it's an approximate. Okay. Then we do the square root of 16 over 8. So the square root of 16 over 8 is, I'll work this one out for you. So that's the same as saying it's, oh, sorry, that's the same as saying equal to square root of 16 divided by the square root of 81, which is equal to 4/5. And if you have a fraction in the numerator, like we have here 4/5, that is actually an exact value as well. Okay. The square root of 0.64, I'm going to punch that in the calculator for you. Second function, square root of 0.64, and that equals, oh, you can't see it, sorry, 0.8. I'll make that a little smaller so we can see those. So we're getting 0.8. So back to our chart. So that's equal to 0.8, which is an exact value. Okay. Next one is the cube root of 16. So on the graphic calculator, we have a cube root button. It's under math. So we use the math button, and it's the cube root. It's the fourth one down. Oh. Enter, and then we put 16 in, and we hit enter, and we get 2.51 in a little bit, right? So 2.519 cube root 2.519 in a bit. So we say that is an approximate. Okay. Cube root of 27, we know we did that in the previous page. That's exactly 3. So that's considered an exact value. The cube root of 16/81, I'll do that on your calculator for you. The cube root of 16 we just showed was a decimal, so we know they're both going to be a decimal. So I'm just going to do cube root, and then we do 16 divided by 81. Oh, sorry about that. I hit enter, and I get 0.582. 0.582, which is an approximate. Next one is the cube root of 0.64. So math, cube root, 0.64, enter, you get 0.61 in a bit. So I'm not rounding these, obviously. 0.6, oh, sorry. 861, sorry, 861. And that's also an approximate. And if you do the negative of that, you'll also get the same thing, only negative. Negative 0.861. And that's also an approximate. I'll show you that in the calculator just to math. And you can take the cube root of a negative number because a negative times a negative is a positive, multiplied by a negative is a negative. So that's why you can take cube roots of negatives, if you were wondering. Square root you can't. It's the same value, only negative. The fourth root of 16 would actually be 2, which is an exact value. The fourth root of 27, you can work that out. Show you that I do that. So it's math. You'll see this x here. Oh. Enter. So it allows me to do this. This is if you use my calculator. I will show you how to do it on yours. You can play with that to try. So 27. 2.279, 2.279, which is an approximate value. And the fourth root of 16 over 81. I'm going to work this out. I'm going to show you how I would approach this question. So if you put it directly in a calculator as the fraction, I'll show you what we get. So we get fourth root of 16 divided by 81. So remember, it's the fourth root of the numerator, fourth root of the denominator. So when we hit enter and we get equals, we get decimal 666. Which looks like an approximate, but it's not. It's actually an exact value of 2/3. So I'm going to show you how to do that, because decimal 6 repeated, as you guys are aware, is 2/3. So this would be equal. This would be equal to fraction, fourth root over fourth root over fourth root. So they're taking the fourth root of 16, which is 2, and you're taking the fourth root of 81, which is 3. We saw that on the previous page. So it's actually equal to 2/3, which indeed is an exact value. Okay? And then the last one, the fourth root of decimal 64. So math, fourth root, decimal 64, and we get 0.894, 0.894, and so on, which is, we know, is an approximate value. All right, so that was just a little exercise. This basically, I did not going to do all the bullets and all the points that it has to do, but I just want to show how to plug those in a calculator. Okay, that was really the important part of that lesson. Okay, so the homework for those for 4.1 is on page 206, numbers 1 through 16, and you can work on those. In the next video, we'll do 4.2, and we'll look at irrational numbers. So thanks for everybody for joining me, and we'll see you again in the next video. Thanks.